Good morning. It is just after 10:30 a.m. It is Sunday, and that means it is time for Sunday Club. Sunday Club is a weekly Ruby on Rails live stream where we are building an app together. We're doing it together. And the app that we're working on is an events application, and it is focusing on allowing groups of people to register for events and kind of buy tickets and do all that fun stuff. We're pretty early on, and you can take a look at the YouTube archive for the Sunday Club channel if you want to go check some other things out. No follow-up this week. It's been doing other things, so we are picking up straight where we left off. So I think we can dive straight in. We can just dive straight in. Let's get to it. So we left it where this video I've called Creating Attendees for Our Events Application Take 2 because we tried to take a run at it last week and it didn't happen because we got a bit sidetracked on showing orders for the events that we already had. So let's jump over to Firefox and kind of show our app. So we've got no user interface, which we're aware of. That's a whole other conversation that we mention every week. But we've got, this is a list of events, unformatted, and we've got that we can edit the event, but we can also see the orders that we've got for it. That's people who have that have bought a ticket, basically. And check I've just got a notification about the audio, the stream. Let me just check it. Okay, it is happening. So I don't know what YouTube is complaining about. Okay, so there is audio. So on the orders page, we got that up and running last week, but I kind of got a bit lost down a rabbit hole. I can't really remember what it was, but I think it was this test here. And we were trying to check that we were just getting the right scope so that we weren't, if you click on orders, these are the orders for these events. So this is just like the order number and the name and email address of the person that's ordered, like purchased a ticket in this case, and we got 2 orders for this event. And then what I wanted to check in the test was make sure that we only have orders for this event, so we don't accidentally change the scope and end up with multiple orders showing for multiple events. And I'm just trying to remember what we were doing here. So I commented a bunch of stuff. So allow, right, okay. So the idea is that, right, we're actually over in the controller, we're overriding this method, or we have this method to make sure we get the right event back. And it's actually bringing us back in an active record collection of events. Then we had this idea of you could receive take. Okay, so we're trying to stub or mock out event basically, and then make sure that event received orders, but that we then, that was just to make sure that we were only calling orders on it. And then I was like, oh, I want to check that that then gets assigned to a collection called orders, and in request specs that's no longer supported. So I think I was approaching this like a traditional controller spec rather than a request spec. And then I was actually thinking maybe we should just wrap this in a feature test instead and just check that another event's orders don't show. Right, so in the meantime, I had sort of said, well, what we could do is use a specific class method on order, which would work, but I think sort of negates the point of having the Rails association there if you're just overrunning that. So I think yeah, I don't really want to get too caught up on this, although I am sort of interested in the request spec way of doing this, because I'm still a little fuzzy on that difference, like having the assign stuff moved out to a separate gem. I don't really know what the impact of that is. Like, is that just an anti-pattern, or is it just that, like, hey, it's just a gem now for other reasons? All right, so what do we want to do here? Let's get going, because I don't want to get too sidetracked on all this stuff. So this actually, I mean, this works. This is the correct thing that we want, but we couldn't quite get. Yeah, and what were we getting from all of this then? So this is allow order for 4. And we were expecting dummy event. We have received orders. Is that the right thing? Just trying to wrap this up because if we can't get this working in a couple of minutes, we'll just wrap a feature test around it and move on. Right, yeah, okay, so this is a memory from last week. So allow dummy event to receive orders and call double event is a pure test double, and call original is only available on partial double. So then that was where I got a bit lost. I wasn't really sure. So partial double was when we were like, would dummy events be a partial because it's calling it straight from the class? Yeah, okay, I know I googled some of this stuff last week, but you'll have to bear with me. Because I got to remember this stuff. I haven't looked at it all week. I got to load up the stuff for doing into like my mental RAM. So can we do, there's always a bit of a, oh, whoops. No, you get the same, so this, right, okay, and it's only the end call original stuff. So that, right, okay. Why did we need that? I have no memory of this. Oh, it's this pagey stuff. Right, which we don't care about at all. Modify method count for no. So can we just stub this because we don't care about that? Like what is actually being called here? Oh crap, because we don't, so I can't do like allow controller, or can I in a request spec? I don't really care what it returns. I don't even know if I can do that. Oh, I definitely can't if I don't spell it right. But this is where I'm sort of out of my... Oh, okay, that did work. An expectation of pagey was set on nil. Oh, okay. So controller doesn't work. So if I just... We're learning about request specs mainly. I'm just going to look to see if the answer is you don't do this. I thought any instance was not... Oh, this is from 2012. Okay. All the dots. Okay, these are all things I haven't... See if there's a more up-to-date one. Vacation. Okay, I think the right way is to avoid stubbing as much as you can in a request spec. Doorkeeper needs a token, so I do something like this. Right, okay, I think that's where I'm going wrong here. I don't think I should be doing this stuff. God damn, medium layouts on this. Layout shift is crazy. Oh, okay, maybe we should be... checking that the body doesn't include another event? Should I be treating these more like feature tests? So maybe instead of doing any of this stuff at all, we say that let's go and make another event. I don't really think this test is doing what I want to do. There's no reason that this specific event would be loaded if others weren't. You could just put a where clause and still have the wrong 2 events on. Let's keep going down this road. I'm not convinced this is a particularly useful test. But I also am aware that this is sort of just for the stream and so here we want another order. And we need yeah, I think this is a really bad idea, but does that pass? Oh, it's response. Oh, wait, did I get the wrong way around? Yep. So we want that one and not one. Very questionable value of that. So also those things are through, so that's not good at all. But I want to move on from this, so right, okay. Let's just write this up so we can say there is at least a test doing something that's nothing particularly useful. Okay, so respect for so what is the test actually doing? That test is actually checking for orders from another event is hugely useful. Yeah, that'll do. I'm just going to do that as a work in progress commit and come back to that. Okay, so we can also lose a previous commit, which was to add that class method. I think we only had that as a work in progress commit, but that can go. That can go in a quick. Just add class. Yeah, and we didn't use that anywhere else. No, and that can go as well because we didn't end up using that. Look into that. Okay, so in the rebase, add class method can go. But we also want to remove this because we never used that. Fix up remove to param. Oh. That can then go in as well. That was add link to orders. Cool, so that's gone. So that's just adding a link there. That's updating that spec, and that spec is already here, so that can get squished up as well. I'm doing this now because I'll forget if I don't do it now. We've got to do these update request spec. Skipping on, so that can go there and just get squished. The second one is fine. Get the gist. Oh, okay, so what did we actually do? Create events orders view in admin. Add orders association to event model. And view components for orders. We can probably swap those around actually. Let's add the association first. Then we are creating the events orders view in admin. It doesn't load any orders, and so we're using a blank empty view and only getting, it's okay, fine. Then we add view components. That's just setting, those were cloning what was there. This one is, hang on a second, that actually can then have that request spec squished in, but I'll keep that separate because we want to work on that. And then this one just adds a link, which is fine because we just need to get around the. Okay, great. What we actually want to talk about is attendees. So we can come back to tidy all of that commit stuff up later, and we can add some stuff to this. So right, so we're in here. Each of these little blocks here, we can put a border around these because it's actually a little bit hard to tell. So we have component events, and we want to take a look at the list items. So we can say, did we work out on the other app how to put the SAS file in here as well? Or did I make that up? I think I might make that up. We got corresponding. Oh, we haven't got a SAS file for that. Okay. Oh, I haven't got any SAS at all. Oh, where's the menu UI prototype? So this is the prototype we made back in the stream a little while ago, and I thought we had found Yes. Okay, great. So we can put SAS in here. How did we do that? I don't, just because the UI is getting a bit unreadable. And if this isn't huge, we can just kind of slot this in. I think it was something to do with this. Maybe we've already done that. Maybe that will already work. JavaScript. Where was it? JavaScript style sheets. Oh, we don't have any. Oh, we got nothing going on there at all. That's fun. Okay. So what happens if we were to just copy this, paste it into here? Sorry, I'm going off on another tangent. I know it, but okay, great. So that's whatever that is. And then we presumably link to that from here. Sort of winging this for a second. Turn the server off, and then in let's get closed. In here. Wait, did I just close wrong one? Oh, it's because I did file open and not open it. Okay, fine. So in here. How did we have them alongside? Just here. Admin event, this time component, so that can actually come over as well. Here, and we can just take the admin off the front. Admin event list time. So if that works, that would have a red border around it. Let's see if that has worked. Amazing. Okay, so let's just chuck on a quick commit for that. That was something that we worked on a long time ago on the stream, but I think is pretty handy. Let's... Oh wait, did I just do that in the wrong... Did I just have two VS Code projects open and do it the wrong one? I think I might have done. Yeah, I totally did. Okay, because there's nothing in here. Okay, that's really annoying, but that's fine. Okay, ignore all of that. Ignore all of that. I just had two VS Code things open. Okay, that's silly. Right, so we don't need this to be red. But we do want a nice box around it. Can we just have like a nice gray of some sort? That color? Okay, great. Give you a little color picker here still. Oh yeah, nice. Just of a lighter color. And I don't know what underscore thing is, so that can go. Just picking some stuff arbitrarily just to get this being able to describe what each thing is. And for the stream, just putting that on there. And I know that we won't include that sorry, in the component, because obviously it'll be obvious that these are events, but at the moment it's not obvious. So now we can view the orders for each thing, and we can do the same thing that we've done here, and paste that in here, call it order list item component, and in here, that. And these can all be like fun reusable CSS bits and bobs later. We'll come to that later. But they should have grey boxes around them. And they do not. Order admin order list item. Admin order list item. Great. Okay. So we want to generate an attendee record for the event. And we want to do that so that we know, so that we are disassociating the act of ordering from the number of people coming. And that's because ordering, the order can represent like the actual transaction. So maybe you order for a group of people, and you want to get half a refund, for example, or something like that. But the actual people attending might not change. So we want to remove that association where the order represents a person coming. What we actually want is that the person coming to an event is entirely just a random list. So maybe we have, as we looked at in the admin prototype UI, we have to go back and have like, we attach it to line items on an order or something like that. We can work out what the association for this is later. But at this point, we want to just introduce that separation really, really early. Because I think what we're doing now sort of would get us the very MVP version, which we kind of talked about in previous streams, which is like having a button, allowing people to register, no logic, no nothing, just a bare bones version. But I think we want to introduce this idea of attendees. So let's quickly commit the rough formatting stuff I've just added. Formatting for it. That can stay or not stay later. We'll come back to that. We're kind of working on a long branch. Normally we tidy this up, but I think we can keep going. So I'm not sure. Maybe what we're going to do will have an impact on that nonsense stuff from earlier. Right. Let's make an attendee record, shall we? And so these are sort of some decisions that we made when we were doing that prototyping work, but we are progressing as usual on the stream without a plan. Normally we would have some lovely user interface designs that were like getting us from A to B, and we would have discussed all of the fun options and specifics about what we're trying to get into. We're not doing that on this stream. We are just kind of cracking ahead with no particular specifics. So we're bound to code ourselves into a few corners. But it is what it is when you're doing a weekly stream. Oh, I'm also going to have to remember how many T's and D's are in the word attendee. That's my attend. I think it's attend with 2 E's on the end, right? Yep. Okay, great. So create attendees, create attendees. And was this the one that came from the Eventbrite API? Because we looked at so many versions of these, I really should have. Yes, we have an attendee, and then we had like a couple of other ones, but I think attendee is like the best representation of this. So event, attendees order, yep, so that's kind of a similar pattern that we're following because we looked at a bunch of different ones. questions. So ours will likely have like kind of a group ID or group number at this point as well, because that's kind of the direction we're trying to get to, is having this logic of allowing people to order in groups. So you say, I want to buy a ticket for me and 2 other people, but actually we want to take part in 3 different teams, but each person might need a different ticket types. You've got all that fun stuff to come. Okay, so let's just create an attendee record, and we can then say order or orders, and the event, because and so do they not then have any team fields? Yep, so that's the kind of thing we're talking about with that. So reference the attendee. Create changed ticket class, that's the ticket type stuff we're talking about. Integer always 1. Interesting. Wonder if this goes back to that sort of like attendee per line item conversation we had during the image stuff pending profile. So do they treat profiles as separate? Like, does that arrive as a separate like object within a, if you ask for an attendee, do you get that as an attendee profile? Yeah, use name instead. Oh, so these are, this one's interesting. So these are all of the like kind of semi default fields that Eventbrite let you toggle on and off. But you could always add a question, like a field, to a form that would be company. They just have a bunch of defaults for you, which is pretty helpful. And one of the ones that we used to get all the time was title was really huge. What do they call it? Prefix, title or honorific. People did not like not having that. They very much wouldn't want it to be Mr. Bob Smith or whatever. But this is all optional, so we can come back. Okay, so let's just put name, and we can put email. Again, we discussed last time we added name that we can sort of come back and put in an admin only sortable first name or sortable last name or something. So you could then, what you could do is parse out anything with a space very sort of broadly or dumbly if you wanted to in the back end, but then let the admin specify the sort order of individual people. That's going to get painful over a large group of data, but it does put it in their hands. Or you could even allow them to like override the sort ordering. If you do sort by, yeah, there's a bunch of options that we have there. If we're just not assuming there's first name, last name, we'd have to kind of reverse engineer sort by last name. And these are all optional, so we don't want them. Right, okay, so get us what we want. I cocked up the syntax there. Oh wait, these are the wrong way around, right? Yeah. References. Order. Is it orders or order? Hang on. I'm looking for another references. Organization, singular. Okay, great. Oh, what was that one? That one had a bunch of other extra. Null false crash organization. What's required? So can we have attendees that don't? Oh, let's swap these back. Going. I'm assuming we always want these as well, right? Like, is that not the new? Oh, doesn't references add an index as well, though? Or is that index? Right, it's not like a unique thing, so we're just saying null false function true. Okay, fine. We're saying these have to exist on a database level. And yeah, okay, we can always remove the restrictions. Let's be overly restrictive to start with. Like I said, we would normally have planned some of this stuff out, but for the stream, we're just doing it live with that. Well, doing it unplanned. I'm not sure it's the same as doing it live. Right, okay, so we now have this concept of an attendee. Okay, let's commit what we've got there. Not a lot to say about that one because it's just a forward migration at this point. Now, when do we want to create these attendees? We want to create them when we're creating our order. So how does that happen at the moment? We have an orders controller here, which presumably has a create action here. And what we so what we want to happen here is eventually we will be passing in, like we said, like line items, ticket types, loads of fun stuff into some sort of order creator or into something that would go through and work out what needed to happen. And we need it all to hit the database at exactly the same time. We're not doing any sort of ticket allocation at this point. In terms of like, we're not saying, okay, well, there are 100 tickets available for this or 50 for this group or anything like that. We're just saying, just save it. So sort of what we want to happen is, within a transaction, save the order, create the attendee, because at the moment we're not providing multiples, and then end. So I think that's all we're looking to do. So is that simple enough that we could just kind of coming up with this off the top of my head, but we want Is this what we want to happen? I'm not saying we should do this here, by the way. I'm just sort of like pseudo coding this out. So what does a transaction return? If we did like that work? Genuinely interested in that. Okay, can we just try that? So we can go to the public page for an event, buy a ticket. No. Oh, we haven't done any of the normal attendee stuff. Okay, great. I did say it was a pseudocode, but I think this is roughly what we're trying to get. Okay, let's create our model then. Because if we're just doing MVP stuff, we're just making the attendee from the order owner. That's all we're doing. So let's say we need. Let's do the spec first. Attendee spec and cool. And then while that's failing, we can just go here and actually create the attendee. Oh wait, done that wrong. Didn't update that. That was lazy. For the wrong failures. Oops. Yep. So that now fails, and we should say belongs to order. Oh wait, it did it the same way around. Event and order. Okay, so that adds the model. Let's commit those. Great. Okay, so let's go back to our. If we just resubmit that. Event must exist, order must exist. Ah, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So do we have those here? Let's order. An event. Oh, okay. Something happened. So let's see if we have our attendee. Yes, we have one attendee. So we can say that's the attendee, and we can do attendee first.order, attendee.first.order.event. But we should also be able to get attendee.first.event, and it should be 8. It is. Okay, cool. So, and it did fail when that was incorrect. So if we then fail on the order, so if we do, what's validated on the order? Event. If we do order.event nil, should not have another well, that would fail anyway. Here we could just do event. We're not doing any like integrity that order and the event of associated together either. So what I'm basically doing is this should fail. I'm just checking that the theory of what we're trying to accomplish. So yeah, so we would get that raise there. Oh, so if we get, if we just get the failure without the raise, does the transaction still roll back? Value in column order ID. Right, so that hasn't. You have to do your own rescue in there. All right, fine. I'm not going to do any of this in the controller anyway, so I'm just going to go back. This work. Okay. So we're not looking to do it in the controller anyway, but that's sort of what we want to do. Check that everything saves at the same time. If it does, send you to the success page. If it doesn't show you what went wrong. So I think at this point we sort of still want to ignore ignore the order kind of creation of what's getting passed in. Yeah, I think we still want to. Sorry, I'm just thinking. I think this will do. Like this will do. If we then leave that exploding, so that'll just explode at the moment if anything goes wrong. We then want to be able to see our attendees in here. So let's just quickly. Yeah, and that's what right. So that's what we had said last week. So essentially, you would then want to be able to view the attendees per order, and have a tab called attendees. Does any of that impact on how we create these? No. Okay. Right. In that case, where do we plonk all of this crap? Do we, and by this crap I mean very thought through code that I've spent the last 5 minutes working on. Right, do we put this within, I'm trying to think of the order creator. So do we put it within order? Do we have like, just trying to think of like a nice sensible way that this could work. So it's still just create, isn't it? That doesn't really help. Although everything is coming from the order. So this is basically, could we do sort of like, could we just delegate all these down? See, this is all stuff that we would have done in like a sensible spike or design beforehand if we we're doing this properly. Like, what is an attendee to an order? I think they're probably pretty separated once after this initial creation. I don't really think we want to tie them together, because once the attendee has been made, even if you refunded the order or something, you would just say, hey, or it's sort of an artifact of creating the order. So you would just say, hey, all artifacts from this order responds to me being cancelled appropriately. And then it's up to the artifacts to know what to do. So they could have yeah, or like we could put this in like I mean, I guess another pattern would be like an order create a service or something like that. That's kind of a pattern people use, right? So then you would pass in the order. And then like .call or something, and have everything in there, and this returns some sort of like result object. And if the result is not successful, then you would need, we need to reassign it, order it here anyway. Yes, I think it just depends on the and that we want to do. Oh, my phone is ringing, sorry. Okay. Is there like a spread that you can do where you can just event is event, owner is owner? Well, these aren't identical anyway, so that won't help. Okay, so we can just be specific. So does that still work? Okay, so yeah, I think that still works. What happens if it goes wrong? Validation failed. Event must exist. So do we need to, because we're doing the transaction in here? That must have failed. Yeah. But did the order get created? Yes. I think so. E99. Yeah, okay, so that fails. So you have to raise within here. How do you rescue these rails? I can remember this stuff. Okay, great. Here's a blog post that's really going to help you. Yeah, I think I've never done this really in a controller. Normally just pass this off somewhere. So this would then be maybe within, like, say with attendee, and then that rescue would come back false or something like that. We could just override save. That doesn't feel great. Yeah, because that's sort of where you end up, where you're now touching the attendee model through here, so ending up with like a service object or a order creator. And that could return whatever you wanted, but again, potentially a response object or result object or something like that. I'm just really aware that I have to take a break for 2 seconds because I have to go take a comfort break. I'm just going to pop this be right back thing. I will genuinely be right back. Hello, sorry about that. Nature calls sometimes. You got to answer. Right, let's get this done because I was just mulling over different options. but none of them really matter. We just need it to save and save all the orders. Let's just, yeah, let's not go down any other routes. Let's just put the rescue in and just assign. I'm not sure what the transaction is actually returning, presumably nothing. And what level is the rescue at? Can you put that in there like that? Or is it within the method so it's not rescuing from the transaction? Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah, okay. Okay. Oh, did we lose our active rails thing there? So if we do... this is a bad example, but I'm just trying to check whether we lose our... Oh, an ID, right, I see. It hasn't been assigned. Because we're not doing... I can do that again. Okay, but we don't get our errors here. Oh no, it's just trying to remind myself how all this stuff works. Like, I find this super useful to kind of do. Like, I haven't done this stuff for a while. So on here, order has no errors. Oh, because it was the attendee that had the problem. Okay, right. So we could here. Right, yeah, you don't necessarily know what went wrong because we want to actually attach that error to the. I want to say order has many attendees, and we could attach the. I guess at the moment we're saying it only has one attendee, and then we can sort of attach the error to that attribute. Okay. Yeah, so I've sort of been poking around this week rather than approaching anything particularly methodically. This is all messy. This isn't real code stuff. Just seeing what works and what doesn't here in terms of working. So let's so an order is gonna let's say at the moment it has one attendee. No, or do we want to kind of skate to, because I think has one will let you create multiples in the DB, but only ever bring back the last one. So I think we probably need to handle that and say, actually, let's just let it have has many. No, because we don't know. And then we can say that an event, any attendees. Yeah, definitely just been jumping around all over the place today. Let's check these then. So that's event spec. And then add associate, add attendee association to order model. Okay. Like, I'm just debating, like, do we, because this is a working concept, do we just make the attendee association a validation of an order, and instead of doing any of this, just do these are all basically 15,000 different ways of doing exactly the same thing. Like, we're not doing anything particularly complicated here. And then we could say, order. It's true. But then I think, does that work? Oh, whoops. Great. Okay, so and then here, if we do, make that nil. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I actually didn't expect that to work. So we're creating an order. So this is the last order to be created. An attendee has come back as false. Is that because we need to restart the server after running that validation? I wouldn't have thought so. Just add the bang and see what happens there as well. Okay. But if we put this correctly, this should get created. Hmm. Is that because it is present, it's just not valid? Interesting. That's I think that's sort of why my first thought on this was like, okay, we'll create something else to check this. Because we don't need to accept anything here because we're building it on the server side after the submit, and it works if all of these are valid, but it is therefore present. It's just not valid. We want like the presence and existence of an association. Oh, interesting. Validates associated. Yeah, I'm just not sure why that's not failing to create the order altogether. So when we get to here, oh, it'll be in this one. So here we have order. That's true. Okay. And order.attendee is that. Order.attendee.valid. It's true. Oh, because I didn't break it again. So we could just do order. We set order.event as nil. Okay, let's do it on here and do the same thing again. Just relearning some stuff. The trouble is I'll forget it almost immediately. Yeah, okay, let's go back. It's false, okay. But it still goes through. Validates whether the associated object or all valid works with any kind of association. So, warning: this validation must not be used on both ends of an association. Doing so. Okay, so has many pages and belongs to library validate. Interesting. Okay. Let's do that. And now, does this fail? Yes, attendee is invalid. So now, go to this. Okay, and that's presumably on what, the base? That error is on the base of the attribute of the model? Yes. No. Oh, because we haven't actually called it yet. So order dot save through stop errors. Yep. Active model error. So it's just not assigning it specifically. Okay, cool. I mean, that actually gets us what we want. I think we've looked at about 10 different ways of doing exactly the same thing here. All of which would probably work. I don't think like there's many major issues. So what did we talk about? We talked about like using a transaction here and rescuing, but then that doesn't get you the originals. We talked about having a class method on attendee, which would create itself, that could be included within the transaction. We talked about having a separate class, something like order creator dot new. I'm making this up, but like dot create. I mean, you don't really need the create. You could just do create. Whatever. Yeah, it doesn't really, then turn that in, and then that could have some sort of result object. These would all get you where you want to go, because all you really need to get to is, do I have the active record model with the appropriate errors when I get here to do what I need if it fails? And the answer to all of them is yes. This is sort of like a way that leaves everything in the controller, which isn't particularly useful. Let's put this back so it works. Because here you just end up with a lot of, you might want to do this in multiple places, so you probably do want to abstract this out, but this gets us what we need for now. I've learned about this validates associated, because I think I've sort of always have abstracted this out to another class where I would expect to like collect those validations up or whatever, or assign them to the attendees or whatever. But just because we haven't really planned this out, so we're just doing it step by step. So this is pretty cool. It seems to work. We need to wrap all of this stuff in tests. And yeah, we have attendees, which is pretty exciting. So that's pretty much a working MVP of where we want to get to. So this looks as rough as hell, but you can now click on an order, go to its public page. This can have an image and stuff like that. You can say, yep, I want to buy tickets. We can ask you for your name, John Smith. John.Smith at example.com. Grab that, and then you get ordered. Now, what we really want to do here is if we go and find one of these that's actually got orders. Oh, this is where we find out they're all the wrong one, aren't they? Yeah, okay, so this one will do. Because of that bug we found last time. So let's see if we can view these things in so order.last.event.organization. Some org. So then we want to do organization ID is 2 and user ID is, oh shit, what's my user ID? I don't know. Let's just try user.last.id. And then user.last.email, because I can't remember what it is. Yes, great. Okay, so then we can do some org. Great, so here are all the events we've been creating. And then what we can do is create an n+1, but just as a quick thing so we can view it, we can say in the orders here, we can do order. I should create a cool little extra div. Name and email. Let's sort of assume that there were ones there before the validation went in. And wrap this sort of in a conditional. So that condition wouldn't need to stay because we have added a validation that's required for an order. But if an order now has an attendee, we can see it. So these would be all the later ones. I don't think these are in any particular order. And it should always match, which is pretty cool. So what we can then do is here have another one called attendees. And that should be, so what event is this? Select generation name. So we could do, what did that last event? And then attendees, and we get all of those, which is great. So then that's the basics of our like attendee management page. So then you could go in and edit individual people, and you then are disassociating the attendee from the order, which is pretty cool. Let's wrap this up because I've got to go meet my sister, which is very exciting. And yeah, apologies, this is a bit all over the place, but it is what it is. Got to try and pick up each week and remember what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish. Hopefully it was useful to see a bunch of different ways that you can do the same thing in the controller. They're all valid, I think. They'll kind of guess where we want to be. We just need to actually think through what we want to do in a decent order. Maybe have another planning, like a spike stream, and give that some thought. But we'll come back to that. So yeah, have wonderful weeks. And I don't know. I actually don't think I'll get a chance to take a look at much more before next week. But next week we can come back and kind of build out the attendee page and build out a CRUD for attendees. So being able to change their name and stuff from the organizational side. And then at that point, we can then associate the order with a user perhaps and allow people to log back in and know if the order is theirs and all of that fun stuff. And then they can manage their own attendee perhaps. Okay, with that, I'm going to wrap up. Have an amazing week, and I will see you all probably next Sunday. See you later.